All right, Garrett, here comes Mark. Take it away with the next gray swan incident. And it looks like it's going to be in wheat, and you guys have a trade to do it.
Chicago wheat prices at $8.22 right now. Expectations that it could potentially hit 10. Spring wheat has already hit those levels. But looking out to 2022, my concerns are that the wheat prices will continue to rise, and we might see some potential unrest globally around rising food prices.
I mean, food prices across the board are going up, right? Meats, cheeses, wheat. It's called a gray swan. Maybe you call it a gray goose because the cost of that Christmas goose is going to go way, way higher. And your cost of your Grey Goose vodka also going to go higher.
You and Mark always say that UVXY is a trash product, but the reality is that every time that I say, like I come on here and I say market momentum is red, it is negative, that's when the UVXY gets active. That's where it actually starts taking off. Well, we got that question yesterday about, well, is the Omicron, the real reason? No, market momentum was negative a week before we even knew what Omicron was. There's a little bit of a housing crisis that is kind of sitting around right now. We're not talking too much about it here in the markets, but the bailout programs for COVID-related mortgage programs, they're set to expire. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because you might have hundreds of thousands of homeowners who might need to sell. It is an opportunity to sit here and go, well, looks like the housing market's topped out. FNGD, that is the microsectors triple bearish ETN for the FANGs. Mm-hmm. When this thing starts going, you have a problem. What are you seeing when you see a chart like that?
Well, what the market's telling you clearly right now is we're done with tech stocks for a little while.
But across the board, like not even gold, not even silver, none of these metals are holding up as quote unquote inflation plays. It is concerning because the question then becomes, where do you go?
There's your UVXY case, Garrett, and that's why it's rallying.
You have capital flowing heavily into the S&P 500 over the last couple of months. And it feels like people have asked me, Garrett, how can the market go to all-time highs? How can the market go to all-time highs where my portfolio is falling? And what we see is that there is a big movement into the top 10 stocks. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, NVIDIA, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan, and UNH. And I sold it all, and I haven't looked at it since, and it's fallen like a brick. That company stinks. Can I say sucks, Brandon?
Yeah. You can. Well, you can, but I'll bleep it out. I have a nice bleep. Hey, so here's a question about interest rates going up. So consumers paying more on loans and credit card debt. Why is that good for inflation if we're already paying more on food and gas?
Who told you that was good? Who told you that was good?
I guess that was insinuated from whatever you said. Maybe there was a misinterpretation. Go ahead.
ET here. Energy transfer. Guys, I keep saying it. I love energy transfer. It's not going to change. I've been selling puts on it because I'm able to generate more revenue. Natural gas is not going away. Energy transfer, I continue to back up the truck. It might not go from 8 to 9 tomorrow, but enjoy the dividend and enjoy selling calls and puts on that stock in the future and generating as much income as you possibly can off those MLPs.
Garrett, is the metaverse the new big thing? Would you invest in it?
It's the next big fad. It's the sports gambling promotion. It's the cannabis promotion. It's the idea that people are going to push out there and say it's the greatest next idea. Look, I'm not getting involved in this in terms of sitting around in my house with a VR set on my head trying to pretend that the world isn't a better place than a virtual world constructed by some Harvard nerd. That's my business idea. Dress up your Peloton as Balloon Dog and look richer than you are.
Folks, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. My wife has one of those Balloon Dogs in her office. I have a Peloton right here that I haven't used in 2 months. I'm all for it. Let's balloon dog it. We're balloon dogging it.
We're going to save it. We're going to save this company with Peloton balloon dogs. Kenny said the 22nd. 24th of November, we went to cash. And then on that Friday, the market completely dislocated. That's important. Last Tuesday, I said here live while on vacation, completely moving to cash. When we talk about momentum, follow that. I don't feel bad. I used to. And I'm like, oh, I should feel bad about this. And you should not feel bad about this. So many people have been lied to. So many people have been deceived. And as you watch this crisis, as you watch this unfold, turn on the TV and watch what people are saying. Watch what a person like Cathie Wood is saying. There's a bubble in value assets. What does that mean? What does that mean? There's a bubble in value assets. Has Warren Buffett ever stood on a bridge looking down, worried that a bank went from a price to tangible book of 0.75 to 0.9? No. 8 centuries of financial folly. Everything going on right now. It's happened before. It doesn't even rhyme. It's history repeating itself. When we talked about this in December, I said, it's going to happen. I don't know when. I can tell you when you should start shorting when momentum goes negative. We know when the institutions are going. And now that you're under that 200-day moving average, now everybody's woken up. Now you've gotten the retail people involved. Now you got people going, well, wow, that's the first time I've ever cursed on air. Maybe this is a real serious issue.
Garrett, you and Cathie finally agree on something, that Twitter should go down hard. Do you see Twitter going lower, or will a reversal come soon?
As you know, I quit Twitter like 2 weeks ago, and one of the last dumb arguments I had was over Cathie Wood's fund. Let's just do this. Morningstar has a fair value on the stock at $58. I'm going out to September. I'm buying the $60 call for $1, and I'm betting on possible a reversal, or maybe just somebody buys the damn company this year because it's already in the toilet. Possibility that this thing comes back. It's worth $100, and even if it does go down, I don't care.
Wait a second. Let's take a step back. Was that sarcasm? Sometimes I miss it. Are you really talking about buying Twitter? Are you really talking about buying Twitter?
Am I talking about buying Twitter calls for $100 for the $60? Yeah, it's effectively a black swan trade at that point. Like it's a dirt cheap call. I don't know. I mean, let's ask people in the chat. Are you pissed off that you're paying 70-80% more for oil or for gasoline than you were a year and a half ago? Are you pissed off that you go to your grocery store and you're possibly fighting with your spouse over what they bought at the store, and you think it's their fault? No, it's just the price of everything is going up. Listen, we can blame what is going on in Ukraine for everything, but the reality is the sell-off that we have had has been very pronounced going back to November. And if you are blaming Russia on this sell-off, that's the equivalency of blaming hanging chads in 2000 for the .com collapse. Hey, listen, I think it's completely fair. Like we're never gonna not be honest about the situation. And heading toward March 18th, given what we've seen with the last two, there is opportunity to make money on the way down. So that is what we're going to target that. And again, if we're taking calculated shots with our trades, we tighten up our risk profile. We aim to limit our losses, and we aim for upside. That's how you trade in this market. And there are people out there right now saying, hey, do you think Teledoc's cheap for the long term? No.
Garrett, are you ready to party? I mean, inflation is your thing. You are watching this like a hawk, and you say it went from transitory to entrenched in 7 months. So can you dive in and explain that smart stuff?
Well, look, this was not me speaking. This is the White House saying that the Federal Reserve effectively needs to prevent entrenched interest rates. So remember, 7-8 months ago, inflation was supposed to be transitory. It was only supposed to be this little temporary thing. We were all going to be fine. And then it became, quote unquote, entrenched. The Federal Reserve just ended its $6 trillion quantitative easing post-COVID. And we want to look for some clues into what that means for the market moving forward. So again, remember, in this environment that we've been operating in over the last 2 years, right? March 2020 happens. The Fed pumps money into the market. Insiders buy at the bottom. Stocks go through the roof. All the insiders sell at the top, and then they sell it back to retail investors who end up get stuck holding the bag on some of these stocks. Kenny, real quick, you'll be joining us tonight for the anniversary. What's been your favorite moment since you came here to Monday Morning Live?
This market makes no sense. And I love that you're here trying to make sense of it, to keep us rooted in sanity in a way. one of my favorite moments was one of those live events that we did with 8 Ball. You saw how quickly you have to pivot, and your pivot while I was walking out the door to Vegas was a great moment. I heard you guys say, let's start buying. And I was like, good for those guys.
This is ChargePoint. ChargePoint was a company that we're shorting right now in the world's biggest trade. This had a positive momentum switch on March 16th, the broader market. The stock goes all the way up from about $15 down up to 20. Now we turned around on the signal and just started shorting the stock.
Garrett, it is a sea of red. It's an ugly day. What's your momentum check looking like?
Doom. We are red today, and it continues to get redder.
The S&P 500, beware of bull traps. It is a stair-step pattern down. You'll see a little bit of a rally. You want to see 2 solid days of movement higher from the S&P 500 to break out of that negative channel that has defined the S&P 500 since April 4th.
Are you optimistic about IBM? Are you prepping for shares to do a nosedive once again?
I hate IBM more than I hate being sick. Look at this chart. That's 2012. That's 200. It ain't coming back. And every time that I try to think that maybe they're going to be good at something, they're not.
How's momentum looking today?
Blood red. Absolutely just blood in the streets. It's wonderful. This is the worst momentum market that I've seen since 2020.
Yeah, because there's blood in the streets. It's up to my ankles. All right, Garrett, we just had
We had the same issue back in 2000, and a lot of people are just whistling past the graveyard. So look, there's opportunity here, and we're glad that you're here. We're never going to lie to you about what's going on in this market.